How did I survive in France as a student in an Erasmus program, but in the self-funding category? That is what today's video is going to be about. I remember when I first got the email that sorry, I didn't get into the Erasmus scholarship program, but I got into the self-funding category. If you've not seen any of my videos, like for Erasmus programs, there are like a particular number of people you can take on scholarship, and then the next category will probably be those that can come in as in the self-funding category. So I was in this category, and I felt somehow, because I was very certain that I was going to get into the program. But yeah, later I figured out why I may not have gotten into the program. No, not have gotten the scholarship, because I got into the program. So how did I survive? I am making this video because I couldn't find much information during my own time that helped me out, except for my program. They were very supportive, because I tried to reach out to be sure that I'm going to survive in France and all of that. So the first thing that happened was that some scholarships were shared with us, some of us in the self-funding category. So this scholarship, we applied to the scholarship, and fortunately for me and some of my other colleagues, we got into the scholarship. So it's like a $20,000 scholarship from an energy organization, an energy non-governmental organization in Canada. So this scholarship, they pay your school fees, and the remaining will be for your upkeep. However, it was not all that sufficient. Yeah. So how did I manage? As long as my school fees was paid, fine. School fees was a lot of money. So let's just say the school fees took about 60 to 70% of the, I don't have the accurate estimate now, of the funding that I had. Then the remaining was for my upkeep. Then I thought to myself that, okay, I am going to be in Italy in my second year, because for Erasmus programs, the first year, for my program in particular, generally Erasmus, you have your degrees in several universities, or they call it diploma, in 2-3 universities. But for us, there were 2 universities. There are 2 universities, and the first was in France, and the second is where I'm currently in right now in Italy, Polytechnique di Torino. So that's where I am currently in right now. So what I did was I tried to do the estimates. Okay, the cost of living in France is somewhat lower than the cost of living in Italy. So I did my calculation on how much I'll be spending on rent and how much I'll be spending on feeding. So I kind of separated that money, and the remaining money I tried to manage it in France, because I don't have the accurate estimation, and yeah, for some privacy purposes I will not be sharing, but you have an estimate of like what I've mentioned. I've tried to mention it around so that you can sort of understand and have a context. So I had like a particular amount of money that I was using to fend for myself in France. And if you're in an Erasmus program, it's not very easy for you to work, because the program itself is very intensive. So I mostly was spending on food and rent, but there were some times that I also spent on clothing, but there were not so many, and I got like cheap stores to get my winter jacket, which are like the necessary outfit. So that was how I managed. And the city that I stayed in France, I stayed in Nancy. And this is I'm giving you this context to know that it's not the cost of living everywhere in France is not the same. So I'm in a very small city, so probably it's expected that it is not things are not so expensive compared to like Paris and all of that. So the support that I got some support from my family as well. They gave me some money before I was leaving, and also yeah, generally my family. But God used people for me, I will not even lie. There were some days that someone would there was just a random time in church, and someone just handed me like 50 euros as a gift. There was times where I got like clothing, or no, it was not clothes, it was like shoes. I got shoes. Yeah, clothes was part of it as a gift, like actually new things. So I felt this moment initially, I really felt it strongly that okay, God, you're actually supplying my needs according to your riches in glory. Like everything I needed, God provided, sort of. So another thing that I did was, I told you that I sectioned the part of the money for France. which I plan to manage. So there was this student support in France where you can go to and just explain your situation. Okay, I don't have a full scholarship and I need some support. Depending on how critical your situation is, they will give you like some support. For me, I got an amount that was sort of equivalent to my 1 month rent, which I mean saved me some money, of course. And there are also places that you can go to, and you pay €1 thereabout to get some food stuff, to be able to, yeah, the food stuff are actually okay, just that at some point I sort of stopped because there were some food that I wasn't so familiar with, and yeah, they were piling up in my room, so I just paused on that. But this is just to show you that there were supports in France, and that was how I was able to survive in France. Let me see if I still have some other things that I have not mentioned. But there was a particular friend of mine that asked how I manage in France in terms of finances. So I hope I've answered your question. And to give you another information, if you are an average spender, like you don't buy too much things and all of that, let's just say your budget per month in France, apart from your rent, could be like €200. Like that's like the maximum you may spend if you don't have a family, you're by yourself, and you're not like too much spender. Because at some point in France, I did not even spend up to that in a month on everything apart from rent. So that's like the amount you spend, and your rent varies from depending on where you get your accommodation. There are some rents that are as low as $150 per month, but then it's in like a shared apartment. You have your room to yourself. The only thing that is shared is the kitchen and the bathroom and the toilet, but there are several toilets and several bathrooms, so it's more like the normal hostel in Nigeria. If you're Nigerian, you will understand. So, and there are some other places that are like self-contained. It's like a self-contained sort of. The rent can range from around €280 to €350 per month. So I have just estimated all of this based on speculations, nothing accurate, just to give you an idea of like everything that happened, how I survived as a self-funded student. I still have more stories regarding this on things that came up for me that made me really, really comfortable. And yeah, let me just say that God came through for me, but it's a testimony that I will share later. So that will be all for this part of the video. Please do not forget to subscribe and share if this resonates with you. Thank you very much.